All right, these are going to be critiques of your persuasion speeches, and let me just say that there are a fair number of problems I had hoped that we would be past at this point, but let me start off by saying some general comments. Number one, you must read the directions. In college, you have to read the directions. Couple of things. One, this speech required that it be 7 to 10 minutes in length. Some of you came up short on that by a wide margin. The other thing it required was a visual, and it also required the speak outline and speaker notes. All of this are situations in some cases that I did not get that from some of you for this speech. And to be honest, it's just totally unacceptable that you would not provide the information that was required in this particular speech situation. It's something that you have to pay attention to in all of your classes, that you have fulfilled all of the requirements of a particular assignment. So, that said, let's move on with the actual critiques. This will be for Furby. Your speech was way short, and it cost you dearly. You are not fluent from the start. You must smooth out your flow as you speak. You spoke about abortion. You seem not to even hear yourself in some of the things you said. For instance, you said that birth control is not 100% preventable. Now, let me say that again. You said birth control is not 100% preventable. I have an idea what I think you were trying to say there, but that wasn't it, I'm sure. You also said over 2 million are awaiting to adopt. You gave no source for that particular statement. We have hammered about sources in a speech. When you make a statement, you must source that statement when you say it. You also said that another reason I believe adoption should be banned. Really? Another reason why you believe adoption should be banned? Now, nervousness will account for some problems, but what I can't account for is that you don't hear yourself say some things. I make mistakes when I speak, and you correct the mistake when you make it. It's very easy. You don't have to draw attention to it. You say, I don't mean that adoption should be banned. I mean abortion should be banned. That's the key, and you make those statements and those corrections as you go. In your speech, you must hear yourself as you speak. You made several misstatements, and then don't run away at the end. Stand still, and frankly, you're reading way too much. Okay, that's for Furby. Now, let me say something else. This is not Furby particular. It's pretty much everybody in the class. Every speech should be an occasion. That doesn't mean you have to wear a tuxedo when you do it, but many of you just came into these speeches as though you could care less how you looked, how you were dressed, and it makes a huge difference in terms of your appearance, in terms of how the audience perceives what you're saying, and also your own credibility. So let's move on. The next speech is Patriot. You talked about Leah Sophia. Now, in terms of 11 things, let me just start off by giving you some stuff. You had a nice start. You had a fairly good use of visuals. You need to smooth out your flow from one thought to another. That's a little minor. You can do that. At times, you sounded like you were speaking from a company brochure. In other words, you were telling me the company pitch, but you weren't talking to me. Don't talk at me, talk to me. You were pretty abrupt in your ending. You gave no citations of sources during your speech. And I would kind of question whether or not this speech really met the assignment in terms of whether or not it's a question of policy. Also, don't scratch yourself when you speak, your head or your shoulder. I want to point out something too. After the comment I just made about appearance, your appearance was excellent. You dressed very well. You looked good. You looked professional. You represented what you were talking about. I would suggest that you should use research that is not evident in a company handout. For instance, Leah Sophia is an opportunity for people to work from home, have their own business, not have to invest in a lot of outside capital, things like that. You made no statements about how many people do that for a living. What kind of workforce do we have of people working from their home, earning money, working for private companies like Leah Sophia, et cetera, et cetera. So those are just some comments. Take them for what they're worth. Next up is Jay. Jay, you were short by a long shot. You spoke about unions. You sounded angry in your approach to everything. You can be firm without sounding like, a take it or leave it, kind of a teamster negotiator at the bargaining table. Tell me in a nice, polite, conversational way what we're talking about. Talk to me. You read way too much. This is not a speech for you to read. I can't tell when your source citation ends. You say something, you give a source, but then you're on to something else, and it's very difficult to tell when, in fact, your citation is actually ended. You had an interesting ending. You need to kind of throw a bone to the current right-to-work activity, because that is huge in what's going on nationally and what's going on in Indiana for the legislature that's about to begin. And your dramatization of your visual was very clever. Nice touch, nice approach on that. Way to go. Next up, oh, by the way, let's see. One of the things that I would say too is, what about the other side? You don't have to give the other side's arguments, but you need to acknowledge that there is another side, and make sure that you kind of go for that in terms of just an acknowledgement. Okay, next up is Cardinal. You spoke about smoking. I would pretty well guess you read your entire speech. I saw no instances where your camera was, where you were looking at the camera. In fact, I'm looking at the camera right now, and if I look down that far, and it's only about an inch in reality, to read the script, that's what I got from you. I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at the script. I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at the script. People at home can perceive that. People in your audience can perceive that. You don't have to turn your head down and then up and down and then up for people to realize you're reading. All right? You're not very conversational in your approach. You just barely had it long enough. I have no outlines from you of any kind, no speech notes. The visual was nothing, didn't see any, and you're reading a lot of your speech. You had some good points in what you're saying, but you could have made that a much stronger speech. Next up is Lou. Lou spoke about birth control, and I can't hear you at times because of noise from a child. Stand still, don't rock when you're speaking. Your kind of cutesy, my word, cutesy ending was inappropriate. You are reading and not following the guidelines on the camera shot. In fact, this was kind of the camera shot you had. You're not even looking at the camera. You're looking out there somewhere, and the camera is here. Totally inappropriate camera shot. Should not have been. I can't see you when I need to see you, etc., etc. This is not a conversational speech. You're reading it. You're going through terms too fast. stop to understand what you were saying. You drop sentence endings and lose words. When you do that, when you're giving a sentence, you must go all the way through to the end. Or no one knows what you think. All right? Half of the time, mothers end up on welfare. That was a statement you made. Half of the time, mothers end up on welfare. I hope at that point you hear what I would be saying. Says who? What's your source for that? Where did that come from? You can't say that kind of stuff. No copy of visuals was sent to me. It was an awkward handling of the visual when you did it, and essentially you read for 9 minutes. You never did anything where you weren't looking at the speech. Okay, I will do a part 2 in just a second.